Hello, beautifuls. Thank you for stopping by tonight. Whether this is your first time here, welcome, or you are returning, I appreciate you both, or equally. How about that? Equally. Tonight I want to talk about a subject that has a lot of charge. It's kind of a delicate subject, and that's exactly why I want to talk about it, because I've had several people approach me privately because they have comments, questions, and concerns and are afraid to even mention these with their friends and family for fear of being branded as being unloving, uneducated, and transphobic. And as you can guess, the subject is the transgender movement. And I'm going to come at it a little differently, from a different perspective, because that's kind of the name of my game. When we look at something differently, our experience changes. First and foremost, I think every subject, no matter how we feel about it, can always be done so with loving kindness and understanding. And that is the place where I am coming from tonight, and I hope that that is the place in which you can join this conversation as well. Loving kindness and understanding. First of all, I want to mention that I can only imagine how difficult it must be for somebody to exist feeling like they are in the wrong body, that they don't identify with who they are physically. It must be incredibly painful. I want to acknowledge that. Many people, when having this conversation, say, well, you know what? Spirit or the soul has no gender. And therefore, this totally makes sense. Well, I have a perspective that I would like to share. And that is, yes, absolutely, spirit does not have a gender. Spirit has neither gender and is both. Right? It is the perfect balance of divine feminine and divine masculine. And we are a spirit having a human experience. But the catch there is we are human. And in the human experience, there are two genders. There are there are male and there are female. And on this journey that our soul is having this experience, we are required to have a physical vessel. And if we feel like we are not in alignment with the vessel that we were given, what if that's one of our lessons, one of our assignments? Because everything we experience here on the human realm, the three-dimensional, in the physical body, is about our expansion, is about healing, is about growth. And why would it be any different when it comes to how we feel about our body? It isn't. We can change our body, but that's not going to change or address the deep issue that we have inside, that our soul or our spirit is asking us to navigate. It's no different than somebody who has, I don't know, you could list any kind of problem that they are working on or dealing with internally, and they think that they can fix it by changing their job, or changing their relationship, or moving to another country or another state. Changing your body is no different. They are all band-aid solutions. They need to be dealt with at the deep root level. Just think about that for a moment. And that isn't just some willy-nilly idea either. There are many that have been coming forward in the recent past that are stating they had their gender reassignment and they didn't feel better. And they went for counseling and they did the inner work and they did the healing, and they gravely regret having had that reassignment surgery. And now they live in this limbo of not being accepted by the transgender world because they're speaking out, and not being accepted by the heterosexual community, majority of it, or large group of the heterosexual community, because they feel that that's wrong and they can't accept it. What a terrible place to be. What a difficult place to be in. I can't even imagine that torment. Another perspective that we can use is we are living in a time of spiritual warfare. And if you're here, even if this is your first time, you're here because energetically there's a resonance. So that probably doesn't come as a shock to you that we are in a spiritual warfare. And part of this warfare sees a great pushback against the rise of consciousness, right? And as consciousness rises, there's a couple of things that happen that help propel that even further. That is the unification, right? Where we start to take care of each other, care for each other, where we start to unify in ways of love and connection. And one of the pushbacks from that is division. We've seen a lot of that in the last few years, right? We saw that with the vaccine passports and all that went with that. We saw that with Black Lives Matter, yet it didn't work. Made a little ripple, but it didn't make a big enough dent. So why not throw this into the mix, right? Because this subject, this movement is creating division. Another aspect of that spiritual consciousness rise and the pushback has to do with the rise of the divine feminine. Earth herself is waking. She's shaken. She's rumbling. The collective is waking. The divine feminine is stepping back into her power. We are having a balance starting to be achieved. And in that place, what better way to try to disrupt the rise of the divine feminine by having a bunch of men masquerading as women, making a mockery of the divine gifts we've been given to create, to bleed, to birth, to nurse. Just think about that for a moment. There's another level of this happening that is far beyond the physical body. However, we are navigating this right now, 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the dimensions, right? And as long as we still have this 3D aspect, there are these aspects we are going to have to contend with. And so, there is a need now more than ever to be in our loving, whether we understand the choices of others or not. Because it is only in that place that we will assist the rise of consciousness. And love is not a pushover. It's not a yes man. And in that place, there is a need, when we're in our loving, a need to honor our values. And we can totally do that without judging another, knowing that their choices are theirs alone, and we are responsible for choosing for us and our path, and hopefully that is to consciously behave and support a movement that raises the consciousness, the frequency, the loving vibration of everyone and everything around us. I thank you so much for listening to this perspective, and if you have comments or questions, I understand if you don't want to leave them in the comments below, but I will leave my email in the link, and I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you there. Or you can actually click the link and we can have a 20-minute discovery session, and we can do that via video. So until we speak again, please be well.